Stop yelling. No. Stop yelling, dog.
Put. Okay, all right, let's play your game. Take one of those.
Get the fuck out of here! What?
Woman accused of shooting a Subway employee is facing charges.
The owners of a Subway restaurant in southwest Atlanta say they don't know if they'll keep their doors open after a customer allegedly shot 2 of their employees Sunday evening, upset because his sandwich had too much mayo on it.
I'm not making your mother. Go! Go!
I want cold combo, please.
Go!
For what?
We living in a dangerous time. Subway eat fresh done turned into Subway shoot fades. Danger serving footlongs, they serving foots up the ass. They putting knuckles in them sandwiches. Do you want it toasted or do you want to take this outside? Do you want a bag of chips or do you want that ass to get flipped? I don't give a damn if you want banana peppers. Is you a big stepper? Classic American cheese? How about a classic American ass whooping? Black olives? Nah, how about a black eye? Gonna have the witness pointing like it was that guy. This is no exaggeration. Subway be catching fades the same way your grandma be catching the stories while eating a bowl of butter pecan ice cream. And you know what they say, behind every Subway beef, there's a backstory. Subway ain't never been a place where people just randomly start fights. Every single fight that ever happened at Subway, the individuals that's fighting, they knew each other for a long time. And for some strange reason, Subway is the place that these people want to meet up at to violently settle their differences. Meet me at Subway. I'ma tear that ass up. Where you at? I'm at the Subway inside Walmart. I'm waiting for your ass to pull up so I can wax it. I know where she work at. She work at Subway. We gon' pull up on her. Statistically, Subway has the most pull-up action out of all places in America. And if you don't believe me, Google it yourself and you will see in plain sight that I do not know what the hell I'm talking about. But I do know this. The Subway brawl involving Edward Cocaine got a backstory. A backstory going all the way back to high school. And you wanna know how I know? Because I'm the best goddamn journalist on the planet. Don't you ever accuse me of delivering fake news, all the goddamn investigating I be doing. And when I did my extended research on this backstory, I couldn't believe the information I received. I can't believe this Subway brawl ain't in with somebody getting unalive, because it got really disrespectful. You see, back in 2004, when Edward Cocaine was a senior in high school, he had a crush on this girl named Tierra, aka Tierra with the tall forehead. Her forehead was long as hell, but she was beautiful. When that light hit that forehead, people were literally getting blinded by her beauty. Like seriously, they had to go to the eye doctor. That forehead was a large canvas for that sun to shine off on. And guess who was one of her victims? Edward Cocaine. When Edward Cocaine was in the hospital getting eye surgery, his vision holding on for dear life, he said to himself, I got to have her, but I gotta get her a custom-made hat to cover up that movie theater she called a forehead. But here's the thing, Tierra with the tall forehead had a boyfriend, and her boyfriend name was Ruben, aka Lil Ruby. And Lil Ruby and Edward Cocaine, they used to be friends in middle school, but they ended up falling out in high school because Edward Cocaine became Edward Crackhead. He started hanging out with the wrong crowd and doing drugs. And Lil Ruby, he chose a different path. He chose the path of good grades and going to a top-tier university. So Lil Ruby disowned Edward Cocaine as a friend they freshman year in high school. And Edward Cocaine been bitter with Lil Ruby ever since. So as Edward Cocaine is leaving the hospital, he can't help but think about how beautiful Tierra with the tall forehead is. I mean, she is the reason why he in there. And he's also thinking about how much he hates her boyfriend, Lil Ruby. He truly envied the fact that Lil Ruby was a straight A student with a full ride scholarship to FSU. And the only ride that Edward was getting was in the back of a cop car. The more he thought about how much he liked Tierra with the tall forehead and how much he hated Lil Ruby, the more motivated he became to cook up a plan to ruin Lil Ruby's life and take his girl. So he started cooking up a plan. You see, the fact that Edward and Lil Ruby used to be friends in middle school, he knows some personal information about Lil Ruby. You see, Lil Ruby is allergic to spicy mustard. The spices combined with the tang of the mustard will ignite like a nuclear war bomb if it touches the intestines of Lil Ruby. A trip to the bathroom is literally life-threatening. I suggest don't be in the bathroom with Lil Ruby if he is going through this. notice. So with Edward Cocaine having this information, he decides to buy a Batman lunchbox. The exact same lunchbox that Lil Ruby has. Edward Cocaine made a spicy mustard bologna sandwich, and he dehydrated some spicy mustard, and he put the powder over some plain Lay's chips. And then he put the food in the lunchbox that looks just like Lil Ruby lunchbox. The next day at school, Edward Cocaine pulls a smooth switcheroo with the lunchboxes. You know Lil Ruby wasn't paying attention. He was too busy listening to his girlfriend. Tierra with the tall forehead was telling him about her day. So eventually, Lil Ruby, he opens up the lunchbox, not knowing that he opened up his demise. He was so hungry, he devoured the sandwich in 3 bites. His taste buds didn't even have time to notice that they was tasting spicy mustard. But them intestines, they had all the time in the world. And just like that, Tierra with the tall forehead asked Lil Ruby, "Babe, why does it look like you got a couch cushion in your pants?" That's when Lil Ruby noticed he was sitting on 12 pounds of hot and smothered feces. And just like that, the whole goddamn cafeteria was stank as hell. Lil Ruby grabbed this bottom and rushed to the bathroom. Little gloops of smoking hot feces was falling out his pants as he was rushing to the bathroom. Everybody is laughing, and Tierra with the tall forehead is embarrassed as hell. Lil Ruby was in that bathroom for 7 hours, stanking it up. He somehow managed to clog all the goddamn toilets. They had to shut down the school for 2 weeks just to drain out the pipe system. The school was so upset with Lil Ruby that they pressed charges. They charged this man with toilet vandalism. And due to his new criminal record, he lost his scholarship to FSU. And due to the fact that the whole school seen him run across the cafeteria with 12 pounds of feces in his pants, his classmates started calling him Chocolate Draws. Hey, there go Chocolate Draws with his stank ass. Hey, Chocolate Draws, you got $2 I can borrow? I'm trying to get a soda. Tierra with the tall forehead ended up breaking up with Lil Ruby. She told that man, "I can't be with somebody that everybody is calling Chocolate Draws." And that's when Edward Cocaine came in and made his move. He came up to Tierra with the tall forehead with a custom-made hat and said, "I made this for you." And Tierra with the tall forehead absolutely loved it. It was able to cover her forehead. And then Edward Cocaine asked Tierra if she would be his girlfriend, and she said yes. Lil Ruby, aka Chocolate Draws, he was so heartbroken and embarrassed, he dropped out of high school, got his GED, and started working at Subway. Edward Cocaine, his plan worked like a charm. He ruined Lil Ruby's life. As Lil Ruby was cleaning out his locker, he noticed something strange. Something was strange about his lunchbox. His lunchbox didn't say property of Lil Ruby inside it. It wasn't his lunchbox. It was a replica. Eventually, his antennas went up like, I'll be damned, somebody switched out my lunchbox. That's how I ended up eating all that spicy mustard. The first person that came to his mind was Edward Cocaine. He's the only one that would truly have some motivation to do something like this. Lil Ruby disowned him as a friend. Edward Cocaine wanted his girlfriend. And Edward is the only one that knows he's allergic to spicy mustard at the school. He instantly ran over to Edward's locker, broke into the locker, and guess what he seen? A Batman lunchbox that said property of Lil Ruby inside it. He really wanted to confront Edward right then and there, but Edward was nowhere to be found. And a group of girls started walking towards Lil Ruby, calling him Chocolate Draws, so he had to get out of there. So years go by, and Lil Ruby is having a successful career being a sandwich artist at Subway. He became a store manager. He got crowned best sandwich artist in the state of Florida 3 years in a row. Things are going great. Despite all the success, fame, and glory that Lil Ruby was receiving, he still carried a vendetta. He still wants some get back against Edward Cocaine. It's 2018, 14 years later, and this man can still hear his classmates calling him Chocolate Draws. So one day at work, a waste management garbage truck pulls into the Subway parking lot. It's 2 garbage men who's about to have some Subway for lunch. And guess who was one of the garbage men? Edward Cocaine. As soon as Lil Ruby noticed that it was Edward Cocaine trying to eat fresh, he wasted no time. Lil Ruby gave one of his female employees that he smashing on the side $25 and told her to go to CVS Pharmacy, get some laxatives, a bag of fireworks, and some cayenne pepper. And don't ask no questions. The female employee that Lil Ruby is smashing on the side got the items without asking any questions and gave them to Lil Ruby. Lil Ruby broke down the laxatives, tore out the gunpowder in the fireworks, laced everything with cayenne pepper, and then he put it all over the sandwich that Edward Cocaine had ordered. And once Edward Cocaine received his nuclear atomic $5 footlong, he sat his ass down and started chowing down. Halfway through the sandwich, he started to feel a burn. And as soon as he felt that burn, he looked up and Lil Ruby was grinning at him. And that's when he knew he was in the midst of receiving some get back from chocolate draws. Edward Cocaine instantly started sprinting to the bathroom. The cayenne pepper generated so much heat that it ignited the gunpowder from the fireworks. Edward Cocaine's ass melted up off him, hit the floor, and burst into flames. Literally, his cheeks fell to the floor in open flames. A Subway employee had to throw Southern sweet tea on his ass cheeks to put the flames out. Lil Ruby got his get back. Edward Cocaine had to lay on his stomach for 7 years until his ass healed. But when them 7 years ended and that ass was all the way healed, Mr. Cocaine made his way back up to that Subway. He kicked down the door, pulled out a knife, and all hell broke loose.
A man is facing charges after threatening employees at a Subway with a knife. Deputies say that the suspect, Edward Cocaine, and yes, that is his name, got into an argument with the employees over their, quote, bad attitudes. That's when Cocaine started yelling, then led himself behind the counter, pushing one of the workers. Deputies say that he then pulled out a knife. One of the suspect's friends intervened, and they eventually left the restaurant. Cocaine was later arrested for several charges, including aggravated assaults.
Ain't no drama like Subway drama. People always talking about it goes down at the Waffle House. What about Subway? You never really hear a backstory when it comes to that Waffle House drama. They just be drunk as hell and start fighting. But that Subway drama, oh yeah, it's gonna come with a backstory. And this was the backstory of Edward Cocaine.